I'll see whether. Okay. And so those of you in the Teams can hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Then I'll start it to share my screen and continue our teaching. All right. So let me. Okay. I just mentioned that we have the three uses in this of this econometrics. Okay, and we have three areas. Let me describe the area first. Okay, so for example, all these examples is from textbook. Okay, so if you have already have the books or you have the ebooks or something like that, you can just follow. Actually, most of the materials I will just actually from cover by the from the book. Okay, so in this equation 1.1 from chapter 1, okay, let me explain this. Let me see. So you all see the equation 1.1. Okay, those who, if you don't really never take statistics in undergrads. Okay, the equation is something like this one. Do you have problems to understand it? Okay, usually this is the mathematical equation, right? For mathematical equation, we do have one on the left hand side and something on the right hand side. Okay, and for the equations, for Q, this on the left hand side is really defined as the quantity demand. Okay, it's the quantity demand. And in economic theory, or if you don't take economic before, never mind, just thinking about if I'm working with some relationship with some quantity demanded, maybe this is the iPhone, okay, iPhone. Then Q is the quantity demanded. So like Apple's, they are selling the iPhones, right? So they have to have some information in the market. Okay, so this is the quantity demanded for iPhone. And what will decide the quantity of the iPhone will be on the right-hand side. So in economic theory, what will demand? Even you don't know the economic theory. If you want to buy the iPhone, what factors, what will affect the demand of the iPhone? The first one we are talking about here, P, is the price. So it's the product price. Okay. Then anything else? Anything else? The second one will be the price of substitute. What do we mean by substitute? Yeah, just except for the iPhone. So maybe any other brand of the cell phone. Okay. All right. So this is what we call substitute, the price of the substitute. All right. Then anything else? The YD means disposable income. It's your own income. Okay, the person want to buy the cell phone, its own income. Okay, so there are three very important factors, or we say the economic theory for this. This is called demand. So this is the demand function. So the demand function has three important factors or effects. This is called price effect. And this is called substitution effect. And this is called income effect. So this is already on in an economic theory. Okay, if you didn't really learn economics, never mind. I think this is in our common sense, right? The price of the cell phone, the price of the cell phone itself, for example, the Apple's iPhone. Okay, the price of the substitute means other than iPhone. Okay, then how much money do you have? So that's called disposal income. So thinking about these three effects. So when the Apple's the iPhone, the price of iPhone go up, what's the demand? I heard that we have the new iPhones is 14, number 14, right? And which is more expensive, and the function is less. I thought, this is just from commercial. Okay, so when the price go up, then how do you think the demand go down, right? Unless you really want it, or unless no matter what prices, then you want to buy it. But actually, for normal people, okay, for normal people, if the product's price go up, then the demand of that product is down. So usually, then I say this is the negative, effect. It's reverse. So when price go up, the quantitative, the demand goes down. Then how about the price of substitute? If some other cell phone, maybe any other Android cell phone, okay? If the price go up, then if other iPhones price go up, means I like to want to buy iPhone, right? Right? So the price of such a substitute go up, then the quantity of the iPhone goes up too. So this is a different, this one is the price of iPhone. This is once the price of the substitute. So, the reaction is, the relationship is different. So this is negative, this is positive. Okay, then how about your disposal income? If you have more money, then you are forced to buy the iPhone. So the quantity will go up. So this is also the positive. Okay, this is typical economic theory for the demand law. All right, so this is what we call the first use of econometrics is describing economic reality. So I'm using this relationship. So this is usually called regression function, but this is very simple one. Okay, we have to go further. Okay, this relationship using this relationship, this equation, to describe the economic reality. Okay, then what is this? 1.2. In order to know the reality, we can collect the data. Okay, we can collect the data from apples. They do provide all the number of the iPhones, and they know the price, and we can choose one of the substitute person price and individual's income. Okay, if we do have this data, then we can use some of the mathematic or statistics methods. Okay, this is what we're going to learn in this class. After we have this data, if we have the relationship, it's like this one, we can put on this data and do some statistic methods and come up with the numbers like this one. Okay? And this is telling us that when the price of the cell phone goes up, the quantity going down, since this is negative. Not only the signs up here, but also how much of the difference, how much they will affect the quantity. Okay, then this one, we are expecting the positive relationship. Okay, not only the signs, but also how the price affect the quantities by real numbers. And those numbers is coming from the past data. Okay, so all this past data we collected to test or to test the economic reality is our second usage of the econometrics. So in this semesters, most of the situations, we're working with these two equations. And after we put all this data in, we get all these numbers, and we need to learn how to explain those results. Okay, not just show the equations. We need to know what's the meaning of all this one, and how do we explain all this result to, if you are the researchers or you are the employees in Apple's company, then you know how to explain all this result to the marketing supervisor or something, and in order to help them to do the correct decision, making the correct decisions. All right? Understand what I'm saying here? Okay, so this is what we say the uses of econometrics. Okay, and again, I already say that there are many different approaches to quantitative work, but this book will more focus primarily on one particular econometric approach, which is called single equation linear regression analysis. So important words is regression analysis, and this is just single equation linear regression analysis. So we're more focused on this approach. Other than that, it's not covered in this course. Okay, and this is really the foundation for all quantitative methods. Okay, all right. And however, we'll focus on this methods. It's not doesn't mean that this is the number one. This is wonderful. Okay. But it is really popular. Okay. For every statistical methods, they do have their own limitations. Okay. So before we learn it, we need to understand the limitations. Okay. After we understand these limitations, then we like to avoid all these mistakes. For example, the first one, sometimes we missing or inaccurate data. Since we're using past data to test the reality of the economic theory, right? So if we have the data which we needed, but really it is missing or even is inaccurate, then in regression analysis, usually we say that garbage in, then garbage out. Garbage in means we have the data which is incorrect or even missing. So we garbage in what? In the regression, the relationship. Okay, we put this data into this relationship and using that statistic methods, then we come up with the output. This is what I'm saying that here. We have this relationship and we all collect the data and put in. Then we come up with the result like 1.2. Okay, then if we have all this data which is incorrect or something missing, then comes out the result is 1.2. So since this we garbage in, those one numbers is something garbage out. So means useless. Okay, so be careful when we have this missing data, or be careful, we should have the accurate data. Okay, the second one is simplification error. This word is very, is special terms in regressions. When we say simplification error, means, okay, let me say, let's go back to here. In economic theory, in order to fully understand the relationship of the demand law for any particular product, we do have informations about the product's price and also the substitute price and also the disposal income. So this is the fully, it's more, and these three factors is important. But so the specification, like 1.1 is that we should have P, PS, and YD for the Q. This is the specification of the model. And when we say specification error, means what? Means either we omitted any one of the factor, or we added in something irrelevant factors. That means specification error. Okay, then how do I have this correct specification? Is based on the economic theory. Okay, based on the literature for some particular study. Okay, if you study some behavior, you need to read all this literature in order to understand if this is what you want to study. You need to know all these factors, and all these factors are coming from the literature of the previous study. Okay, so in order to set up the correct specification of the model, you need to read the literature. So literature review is important for this study, for research methods. Okay, we're not just going to tell you that how to collect the data. You know, literature review is very important, and each area of the study has its own literature review. So in the future, if you are working with your thesis, okay, you need to emphasize, you need to know, maybe your advisor or something can help you to focus on more important literature. Then after you review it, then you can set up a correct relationship between this one and this one. Okay? All right. So this is what we call if there's something simplification error, then the regression result will be misleading. All right. The third one, third limitation is poorly chosen estimation technique. Okay. There are many statistical technique. Okay. And we will start it from the very beginning. No, I think from chapter 1 or chapter 2, we will start at the very beginning, and we started from the very popular one. Okay, then after that, gradually we'll introduce more technique to match the relation, the situation you happen to. Okay, all right. So you need to choose the correct estimating technique. Okay, the fourth limitation will be improper statistical testing procedures. Okay, I'm talking about this one is called hypothesis testing, which is in our chapter 5. Okay, we need to go from chapter 1, 2, 3, 4 up to chapter 5. Then we will study the hypothesis testing. Okay, all right. And in there, we'll know how to do the statistical testing procedures in order to have the correct result. In order to test this relationship and we get the correct result. All right. So for the data itself, for the model itself, for the estimating techniques, as well as the hypothesis testing procedure, are the 4 areas help us to avoid the limitation of the regression and also help us to understand how to do this regression analysis better than what we expect. Okay, so we'll learn all this in this course and in this semester. All right, so this is what we say the first section of this, the chapter 1. Okay, let me go on to the second parts. All right. Okay, after we talk about what is econometrics, now we come up with the issue of what is regression analysis. Okay. Let's say that regression analysis is a statistical technique. Okay, that attempts to explain the movements in one variable. We call it dependent variable. Those of, I show the different colors. Okay, it's the important parts you need to know. Okay, when we say the regression analysis, we need to know the term of what is dependent variable. Okay, so explain the movement in one variable. We call it dependent variables as a function of the movement in a set of other variables called the independent variable, or we say it's explanatory variables through the quantification of one or more equation. So if we come back, go on to these two equations, okay? What is the dependent variables and what are the independent variables from 1.1? Equation 1.1. For regression analysis, those on the left-hand side is called dependent variable. Okay? So let me go back to the explanation. Regression analysis is the statistical technique that attempts to explain the movements in dependent variable as a function of movements in a set of other variables, independent. So on the right-hand side is the set of variables. So we call it independent variable. Dependent variable. So in regression analysis in this course, we learn on the left-hand side is only one variable. Here is the demand. On my right-hand side, there's three independent variables. Okay, one is the price of the product, the price of the substitute, and the disposal income. So demand is a function of product price and price of substitute and disposal income. Okay, understand what I'm saying here? So whatever on the left-hand side is called dependent variable. And on the right-hand side is called independent variable, or we call it explanatory variable. Okay? All right. Okay, then all regression analysis can do is to test whether a statistically significant quantitative relationship exists. Okay? The regression analysis can do is to test whether a statistically significant quantitative relationship exists. Okay, so there's important words here is statistically significant. Okay, and also the quantitative relationship exists. So if I go back to the equation, I want it, this is so quantitative relationship, right? All these numbers is all called quantitative relationship. Then for the regression analysis, I also need to test how those numbers, whether it is statistically significant. Some of you may not understand what is statistical significant, but when we get to that, you will know it. But remember, this is when we do the statistical hypothesis testing, I mean the second usage of the econometrics, is want to do the statistically significant, whether it is the significant, statistically significant relationship exists. And this relationship is quantitative, it's numbers instead of other. Okay, and we still have to remember the causality, these words. Okay, let me go back to the equation again. When we say that the demand of the quantity is depend on the product price, the price of substitute, and also the disposal income. So we may, have the intention to think these factors are the cause. Because of this, then this, right? But remember, in regression analysis, there is no cause effect. We don't say any cause effect. Okay, this is it's hard to grab and hard to understand it. This is just the statistically significant instead of the cause effect. Okay, although the demand is the function of the price of the product and the price of substitute and the personal disposal income, but they don't have, we're not testing the cause effect. That's very important idea. We don't test the cause effect, but just test the statistically significant of their relationship. Okay, remember this one. Remember, if you don't understand this, never mind. Just remember it. We don't do the cause effect. That is not what the regression analysis do. Okay, because if you really want to say the cause effect, there are many theoretical embedded. There are many theoretical, underlying theoretical reasons. You have to dig it out. Okay, so for the regression analysis, actually is working with the statistical significant instead of causality effect. Okay, and why is not that way? Okay, let's see the definition here. Okay, if event A and B are related statistically. Okay, remember this one. When we say A and B are related statistically, it may be A causes B, or B causes A, or some omitted factor causes both, or it's a chance of correlation exists between the two. So it can be anything. Okay? Remember this one. I think this idea is important. When we say events A and B are related statistically, it may be 4 situations. A causes B, or B causes A, or some hidden variables causes both, or just a chance of correlation exists between of the two. So that is not really the causality effect. Causality effect means that must be this one cause that event, the A cause B, then we say it is cause effect. You have to make sure it's because of A, therefore B. But for statistically Related means either one of them. Okay? All right. So we have to remember that regression analysis cannot confirm causality. It can only test the strength and direction of the quantitative relationship involved. Okay, make sure. Okay, I use all these wordings. It's all, you can, if you read the books, all these points. I just show all these important points. Okay? So remember, regression analysis cannot confirm causality. And it just can, it can only test the strength and direction of the quantitative relationship involved. All right. And since we already recorded, so if you like to go back and review all this class material, I think feel free to just read it. Okay, review it. And I will put all this, if it is in the Teams, you can also direct open the recording from the Teams, okay? Then I'll ask this class assistant to put on in the iLearning systems, our class iLearning system for all the recordings every day, every time, okay? All right. So you can see all this this main points or important points which you like to review it. Okay. So look at this equation. Y equal to, okay. Let me also say something that beta, y equal to beta 0 plus beta 1x. Okay, so I have y is dependent variable, right? So we say y, the dependent variable, is a single equation. This is a single equation linear function of x. And x is called independent variable. And this model is called single equation model because it is the only equation specified. And the model is linear because if you were to plot equation 1.3, it would be a straight line rather than a curve. Right? This is in from your junior high school math. If you draw the diagram for 1.3, okay, this is just straight line, right? Any questions about the straight line here? Okay. And let me also say that, for this equation 1.3, did you see all this betas? Okay, this is our Greek letters. Okay, and you have to get accustomed to the expression like this one. Okay, all the regressions expressed in this way. Okay, so for this betas are the coefficient that determines the coordinates of the straight line at any points. And beta 0 is what we call constant or intercept terms. Okay, this is also junior high school math, right? Okay, we call it constant or intercept terms. And it indicates the value of y when x equal to 0. So beta 0 is when x equal to 0, and this is the y value in math, right? Any questions with this? And beta 1 is what we call slope coefficient. Slope coefficient. And it indicates the amount of the y will change when x increases by 1 unit. I think this is important for all of you to understand it. Okay, beta 1 is the slope coefficient. Okay, so the official name for beta 1 is what we call slope. So when we ask what is slope, you have to tell me that it is the amount of y will change when x increases by 1 unit. Okay, so let's use the example here. We just have this one, right? What does this mean? Beta 1, this is beta 0, right? This is beta 0. And I'm using the example just have only one x. But here for 1.1 equation, we have 3x, right? We have 3x. Therefore, I have 3 beta. One is called beta 1, beta 2, and beta 3. And beta 0 is the constant. And those beta 1, beta 3, beta 2, beta 3 are slopes. And what's the meaning of these slopes? It's the 1 unit. The y value changed when x changed by 1 unit, right? So for example, if this YD is the disposable income, if the data we collect, the one measurement units is by dollars. What do we mean by that? $1 change for your personal disposable income, then if $1 increase, then the demand of the Q will increase by 0.23. So what does that mean? If you have $1 more, the quantity of the iPhone will increase by 0.22. So it's hard to understand using this decimal places. So if I make it as 100, if you have $100 more, the quantity of iPhone, the demand will increase by 23. Understand what I'm saying here? So this is the definition of the slope, and which is very, very important when we're talking about the regression analysis. Okay, you need to understand, you need to know how to explain those numbers, because this is the important result for the regression analysis. Not only the computer output, but also the interpretation of the output. I think this is more important than just run the regression. Since the regression, you can use the computer packages, then computer packages help you to have the result, but you need to explain all this result, maybe to your supervisor. Maybe they didn't study this regression analysis, but using this technique, you help them to understand the reality of the situation and help them to make the better decision. This is the purpose for the regression analysis. We not just learn how to run the data. If you don't know how to explain it, the data, those output it's just what? It's just a piece of paper. There's no relationship here. There's no information here. I think information matters. Okay? The information matters. As long as you can explain the meaning of these numbers, then you provide a useful information to make an effective decision. Okay, this is the purpose for regression analysis. Okay, I think I will stop here, and I hope all of you to get the textbook. Okay, I hope everybody to have textbook next week and be ready. Okay, and review and read it in advance. Okay, review it, preview. Okay, all right. So I think what I'm going to cover today is up to this points, and let's leave the rest of the material next week. Okay, and let's spend our third class and to know more each other. Okay, in that case, those who are in the teams, okay, since we're not able to interact using the teams, so the three students on the team, we just want to say goodbye to you, okay? And I hope all of you can come here as soon as possible, okay? And started from next week, is it okay to use this one to have our class? I'm using the Teams. If it is okay, I think I'll continue to go on, use the Teams. Also, for those students outside the country, as well as you, okay? And you also can bring your own laptop here, okay? But when you also join in, and if you are in this classroom, you don't have to join in the Teams, since everything is the same as what I show in this classroom, right? Okay, all right. So let's take a break here, and I will say goodbye to the three students in the teams, and hope we can see you soon. Okay, bye-bye. And let me stop the recording first.